Nostradamus and the Third Antichrist. This will only be the prophecy that's given at the end of the book, and it's published by Watkins Publishing, London. Mario Redding is the author. Part 3: The Third Antichrist, the one still to come. Subject: Global War Aftermath. End of the Phoenix Period. Date: 2075. Nostradamus' index is 75. Century number is 2. The cry of an extraordinary bird will be heard, cannoning through the air shafts. The cost of a bushel of wheat corn will soar so high that man will make of man a cannibal. Prediction: Following on from the catastrophic global war of 2070, a terrible famine will devastate the earth, triggering the change of world order depicted in Quatrain 379, 2079. Birds such as crows, owls, storks, ravens, and swallows were considered harbingers of either good or evil, depending on breed, color, and connotation, by the augurs of ancient Greece. But Nostradamus' use of the phrase "insolet asu" would seem to point us towards a rarer bird, the phoenix, for instance. For Pericles, the phoenix symbolized alchemy, on account of the animal's ability to change its essential form through the use of fire, and for centuries the sign of the phoenix was to be found above pharmacies and chemists' shops for that very reason. Phoenix periods, when the phoenix is actually visible to human beings, range from 250 years, according to Tacitus, to a maximum of 1,500 years, between sightings according to the German Egyptologist Lepsius. Such sightings were deemed to herald the beginning and endings of great human eras. If we take the length of a phoenix period to be around 300 years, as is now generally acknowledged, we are taken back to 1775 and the start of the American War of Independence, an event that heralded both the beginnings of world revolution and the foundation of modernity. This period, Nostradamus tells us, is now at an end. Instead, we are entering a period of barbarism rather than enlightenment, a period of uncertainty and global change. Summary: the war has signaled the end of great human error. Everything will now change. We are entering a period of barbarism and immorality on an unprecedented scale. The problem with this quatrain is that some of the words did not translate from the translator that I have. Vote could be voice as well, so like the vote of the people would be the voice of the people. Hearing an insolent bird could be hearing someone that is basically being insolent to those in charge, which could be Trump, could be anybody. Then directing out of control leaders. In other words, whoever it is takes control and is pushing the leaders. The wheat, I thought, could also be more along the lines of the people who are going to cannibalize the governments. In other words, they're going to turn against the government who is no longer listening to them. Now, again, that's the best I can come up with, but again, remember, some of these answers did not match. Some of the words, it was like 3 or 4 that I could not get an actual answer about. Thank you. Subject: Third Antichrist 1. Date: 2075. Nostradamus Index 75. Century number 10. The eagerly awaited one will never return to Europe, but will reappear in Asia. One of the Confederacy descended from great Hermes. He will grow above all other kings of the Orient. Prediction: one immediately thinks of the series of quatrains dealing with the period 2032-36, birth of the Third Antichrist. When one reads this prophecy, the individual concerned, whose birth is described so effectively in quatrain 335, 2035, would be 40 years old at the time of this quatrain. It seems that he has survived the global war of 2070 and is intent on proving Nostradamus' prediction in 335. that the noise of his reputation will grow in the Eastern Kingdom. Correct. This suggestion is echoed in line 4 of the present quatrain, and he will rise above all other kings of the East. As if that weren't enough, we are reminded of his European origins, and are now told that he repudiates them totally and turns his face permanently towards the East. The confederacy descended from great Hermes is of particular interest here, as it could imply an hermetic link with Thoth, the Egyptian Hermes Trismegistus, scribe of the gods and chief counselor to Osiris. Either that or a reference back to alchemy, for Hermes was the Greek Mercury, and Milton in Paradise Lost 603 calls Quicksilver volatile Hermes. In purely classical terms, Hermes was the god of thieves, as well as messenger and herald to the Olympians, and he was also the conductor of souls to Hades. On the whole, though, it seems most likely that Nostradamus was taking the Neoplatonist route, as the name Trismegistus means thrice great, and we are dealing here with the man who may well be the third Antichrist. Summary. This is the time the third Antichrist has been waiting for. From the Middle East, he moves towards Asia, widening his power base. Another with words that I'm not able to find a translation for. The part at the end where it says Croistra, I thought could be Croatia, since the area near Yugoslavia seems to be the area that they're looking at mostly. ASIE I could not find either, so therefore the best I can do is guess. Hermes, I have nothing to add to that. Anyway, this is the best translation I could come up with. Subject, Third Antichrist 2, date 2077, Nostradamus index is 77, century number 8. The third Antichrist will soon be annihilated. His war will have lasted for 27 years. The heretics are either dead, captive, or exiled. Human blood reddens the water that covers the earth in hail. Prediction. Could the war Nostradamus is describing really have started in 2050, when the third Antichrist was a mere 15 years old? See Quatrain 335, which would be 2035, Birth of the Third Antichrist. Well, yes, it could, if the war is accepted as being one of ideological rather than of military confrontation. There is no question here of the war having actually come to an end, but the presage in line 1 may link this quatrain to 379, which would be 2079, change of world order, in which the example of the men of Phocis is summoned up to show that all is not yet lost. The final line is one of the greatest and yet most difficult to translate, and all of Nostradamus' writings and conjures up, in its few, almost shunted together words, a human and nature-driven hell, the like of which we haven't experienced since the last great quaternary ice age of 1.6 million years ago. The original source of the image of blood-reddened hail comes to Revelations 8, and describes the first of the 7 angels of God. The first angel sounding, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood. Summary. There are still some people willing to fight back against tyranny. Nostradamus describes the battle and suggests that in the end, the third Antichrist will be beaten. Once again, I'm not able to really give you very much here, except for I thought arcs might actually be an arch, or arcs of fire, being pitched out. Then through that, maybe regrowth. Chris, I'm assuming, is sort of a name. I really don't understand the scream safe there, Midnight O's. The O's, I cannot find what that means. Inside seems pretty interesting, but Sant Miss, I could not find an answer to. Ramparts broken. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. But the through a heat wave, maybe from fire. And the traitor tours, I couldn't find an answer, but maybe it means predators flee. On this one, it's been rather difficult for me to give a clear cut what I think they're talking about. So I'll have to let his stand. But I do have to say that translating this stuff, it's very hard to do. I'm assuming these mean something probably in Old French. Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, it's the best I can do. So take it for what it's worth.